good evening, everybody. Sammy Thunder here. Welcome back to the channel. So I am mustering up enough strength to create this video tonight. As you could probably tell from the nasally voice and the deep voice that I have, it's deeper than normal. I'm coming off of a pretty nasty cold that I probably obtained when I was during the holidays with family. So it could be from that. I mean, who knows? You can't really trace these things. But for the entire week, I was really just recovering as best I can. But I figured, I have enough strength tonight, and I want to build off of the momentum that we had with the Willie Mays. The last video I did, which was talking about the oddball versus the issued cards with Willie Mays. And so I figured that there was a lot of discussion in terms of why early years Willie Mays cards, like the Topps 52, outperformed the oddball stuff, and then it shifted in the oddball's favor as you kind of go into the later years, like 54. Well, not the later years, like 54 is not a later year, but outside of his first and second year, I guess you could say. And so a lot of you guys in the comments, because I was asking for your feedback on it, at the time I didn't really think what sort of reaction or what the purpose of the video was going to be outside of just showing the price changes. But it was the one thing that kept coming back from the feedback was for three things. One was the scarcity of cards drives the price. Two, the allure of the 1952 Topps set just being what it is. And three, just that dominate. I'm 2A. The domination of the 52 Topps set really just has a complete effect over hobby enthusiasts and even people who are not in the hobby but just know baseball cards and know, it's like, name me a baseball card, and they'll say 52 Mantle Topps because they hear it all the time. So, it's interesting to kind of see how that became a factor in the conversation. And so because of the success of the Mays video, I figured that we'd talk a little bit about the Mixter himself. So I have for today my only one card in my collection. My only Mickey Mantle card is the Topps 52 Mickey Mantle. It's a gray back. It's not a white back. But hey, it's a really great card, and I'm proud to have it in my collection. What I will say, and this might be maybe one of the few times that I make some sort of advice on a collection, but I think it's an easy thing that I think a lot of people will agree with. If you're not a Mickey Mantle collector like myself, I think it's important to at least have one Mickey Mantle card in your collection. I don't care what it is, but you should have at least one, maybe one playing days Mickey Mantle card in your collection. I think that speaks volume there. And in my case, I have the third Topps card, 56, that he had, with 52, 53, and then jumping to 56. But I think that's worthwhile advice, is to have at least one Mickey Mantle card in your collection, even if you're not a big Yankees fan or a Mickey Mantle fan. I understand the importance of his cards, and I think a lot of enthusiasts might think this, but I think his name is always going to be synonymous with this hobby, and it's always going to be favored in the years to come. So, anyway, we're going to be talking about this guy tonight and doing sort of the kind of running the same comparisons we did with the Willie Mays stuff too. We're going to look at 52, 54, and 59, exactly the same years as Willie Mays. And I want to see if the Topps 52 allure, that set, if that really does have a stranglehold over the hobby, or if we start seeing some differences. And I think it'll be interesting. The evidence is pretty compelling. But let's go ahead and take a look. I'll bring up the keynote presentation now. All right, so now we're in the keynote, 1952. So as always, with the Willie Mays keynote I did, we'll start in 52. We'll pick the 5 cards. 50, we'll do 54. I think where there's 5 cards, and then 59. I had 4 with Mays. We're gonna do 5 with Mickey. So let's take a look at the 5 that we have here. Oh, I gotta go back here. So we have the Star Decal 52. This one is an authentic, type 1. We have the Bowman 52, a classic and a 1. I wanted to try to keep it as consistent as possible. So the grades, I try to line them up as best I can. I had to go with A's or 1s in this case because some of the cards that are picked out in this only really had sales in this low grade. So Bowman. Here we have the Burke Ross in a 1. Of course, the classic Topps 1952 in a 1. And then finally we finish off with the Tip Top Red in a 1 as well. So we're introducing, because Mantle was not in the 52 Redman, we introduced we introduced the Tip Top Red in replacement of that. And so let's go ahead, we'll break down the numbers for all of these 1s, or A in this case for the Star Decal, but let's see what we got. So the Star Decal comes in at $6,600. That's pretty striking. I think that's probably, if I remember, almost like 3 times as much as the Mays, and the Mays was graded higher. So we really kind of see that shift in star power between Mantle and Mays. Bowman comes in at $1,620. I can't remember what the Mays was. It's, I would say, comparable, but again, you're looking at a lower grade Mantle. I think it's just his name is, just a huge name. The Burke Ross is about 2,200. This is where we get the striking numbers, which is why the grid marks go up to 40,000. The Topps comes in at $32,400. So you kind of see the outperformance here significantly between the Topps 52 and every other oddball, or maybe not, the Bowman is not, but Burke Ross and Star Decal doesn't even come close. But what was interesting is the Tip Top Red comes in right behind at $28,200 in the same grade. So it's interesting. It's a very compelling closeness in value and price. And I mean, I think a lot of people mentioned the scarcity of the Tip Top Red versus the Topps. I mean, clearly the Tip Top Red card is very tough to find versus the Topps, where you can probably find one on eBay or some auction site right now, but quite striking. It's kind of pleasing for me to see that people are holding this rare and scarce card as high up as a Topps card. So it was nice to see the closeness between the two values. So it's interesting. This one was an interesting chart compared to the Mays 52, where the Topps completely blew everything out of the water. So we'll jump to 54. Let's see what we got. So of course we have the Bowman. Mantle was not in the Topps set, so he's not going to be, clearly there's not going to be a Topps issued here. So we went with 2s, I think, for the most part here. The Red Heart Mantle is in a 2 as well. Here we have the New York Journal American in a 2. The Stahlmeyer in a 2. We saw how the Mays performed in the 54 set, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Mantle performs in this set as well. And then finally we have the Dandy Potato Chips Mantle in a 2. So this was going to be interesting. I wonder what you guys think before we jump into these. What I will say, and I didn't preface this at the beginning, is that no 2 grades are alike. And I think we all understand that two different graded copies of a 1 are not going to be the same value. It's just impossible. How can you get something so consistent? It's impossible. So, what you might see here, you might see a beautiful looking 2 and a horrid looking 2, and they just fall in that same range somehow. So let's break this down even further. So the scale, our grid marks only go up to 20,000 this time. So it makes you wonder which cards are going to get that high. let's start with the Bowman. So $756, quite a jump down from, I think it was like 2,200 or something like that. The Red Heart took away $1,200, so the Red Heart. The New York Journal American surprised me. I thought it would go for more, but the last sale is $324 for it too. I thought that was strikingly low for such a tough card. Here's where we get into the big leagues. Stahlmeyer commanded a $19,200. It's very much in line with, I think, the Maze. I don't think the Maze went for nearly, I can't remember what it went for. I think it went for a lot, but I was displaying a higher graded, no, it was 1.5. So you know what? Check out that video. you can check me on that. I think the Mantle went for more, but the Maze, I mean, there's something about these Stahlmeyers, man, and the Dandies. The Dandies, 25, a little over 2,500. So you really start seeing the outperformance of some of the rare and scarce oddball cards that are out there. So the Stahlmeyer, just like the Maze did in our last video, the Maze really outperformed with the Stahlmeyer. I mean, completely. It skewed the shift. So in 54 probably is where you see it, because I know 53 had the tops with Mantle. So you could argue, and I probably should have done a slide on it, but you could argue that 53 could make a run for its money. But we'll have to come back for part 3, I guess. So let's compare, like I did with the other video. We saw Bowman with a 53% decrease. I don't know why it's doing one by one, but here we go. Okay. Yeah, it's it's a huge drop. So yeah, Stahlmeyer comes in at, looks like it's, I don't know, like a under or over $10,000 difference between the tops and the Stahlmeyer tip-top red as well. So very, very striking difference in terms of a couple of years. But let's jump into 59 now. This is where things will get interesting. So we did the bazooka like we did, the first issued bazooka set. We chose 4s or 5s in this case, as close as we could. So we got the 59 bazooka, first issued set of bazooka. The Oklahoma Today Mickey Mantle card. This is a cool looking, I forgot to change it to Oklahoma Day, not the Home Run Derby, but we do have the Home Run Derby card coming up. So just forget that part of the slide. Topps 59, the Mickey Mantle in a 5. And here is the Topps Venezuelan Mickey Mantle in a 5, and we finally finished with the Home Run Derby card in a 5. So let's compare all 5 cards. This will be interesting to see the dynamics between all 5 of these. So we're at 18,000 as our maximum. So we start with the bazooka, $6,925. That's pretty striking. That is pretty striking. But I understand, as a bazooka collector, I have the Maze in a 4. It doesn't come close to that number as you're seeing with the Mantle. I mean, it's incredible. The Mantle just completely outperforms. The Oklahoma, $685. It's a reasonable price for such a unique card. I don't know enough about the Oklahoma Today card. I was just seeing what cards were issued in 59 for Mantle, and this one came up, and I thought this would be an interesting example. Topps 59, $1,260. So about double the price of the Oklahoma Today is the $1,260. The Venny, $12,600. Now, to be fair, this is the first issued Venny set in 59. There might have been some other ones prior. Some other, but this was like the Topps Venny set, first one, so it is, that to me was very, very striking. 12 times, really 10 times the amount of the Topps card in the same grade. So Venny costs 10 times as much, but hold on to your seats. Home Run Derby will fetch you, that Home Run Derby card fetched $18,000. That is incredible. So a lot of this really does fall in line that as the years progress of a player's career, the Topps card starts to go down in value significantly. There's huge drop-offs once you step outside of the 52 Topps. Maybe the 53 Topps. I don't know what the drop-off is between the 2 years if you look at two cards of the same grade. But again, there's so much that goes into like a 5 here and a 5 there. You're going to get two different prices, um, but it's an interesting thing to see that as the years progress, outside of the 51 or 52, you start seeing the rare and scarce cards start to outperform the more common, not common, but the more issued cards. So I did a 54 to 59 comparison, so y'all could see how it looks. So the 59, and here you have the 54. But then again, we're looking at 2s and 1s in 54 versus 4s and 5s in 59. So quite the dynamic shift, to say the least. So let me go back here. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Mantle obviously commands a greater weight in this hobby. I think there's no doubt in saying the 52 Topps is, a card that people will pay up for. I mean, I don't think people will disagree, but when I say that the 52 Mantle card can be obtained rather easily. I mean, with auction houses and eBay sales and card shows, I see them all the time. It makes you wonder, how if you ask if you ask 10 card collectors out there, if you just do a survey and you ask them, what are your three or what are your 5 favorite Mickey Mantle cards, you wonder how they would be ordered. Everybody would have a different answer, and I think that's interesting. So, anyway, just food for thought. Maybe somebody wants to conduct that survey. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll probably be back again sometime this weekend to catch up. Depending on my strength, I might venture out tomorrow for a card show in Brooklyn, but we'll see. Just depends if I have the stigma to do it. But have a good start to your weekend, guys. I'll see you soon. Take care.